Now may I speak in the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Amen.
Amen. Some of us may have had the privilege of visiting that great and ancient civilization that we know as India. It is a land full of sights and sounds which attack the senses in the best possible way. The sights of India, from the Red Fort in Old Delhi to the Amber Fort in Rajasthan, the Golden Temple in Amritsar, and of course the alabaster white of the Taj Mahal in Agra. They are a photographer's dream, and they embed themselves in our memories as images never to be forgotten. The sounds also are memorable. The cacophony of car horns and street cries which make the cries of London sound like four-part harmony. It is something which has to be heard to be believed. And of course, the tastes of India, as far removed from the takeaway round the corner as a turkey Twizzler and processed cheese are from fine dining. It is a thing of wonder to eat real Indian food without the artificial flavorings or colorings, and it is a magnificent experience. I had the privilege on a number of occasions to have a very privileged access staying in the British High Commission, where I took some services for a member of the diplomatic community there, which was a great privilege. And on one very foolish occasion, a member of the High Commission allowed me to drive their car. If you've been to Delhi, you'll know why that is an astonishing fact. I forgot to ask before I drove out of the campus whether or not in India they drove on the left or the right. And after driving for a day, I still didn't know the answer. But I did know that driving in a car which had diplomatic plates, it was avoided by all the others with the same respect that they would owe to a sacred cow. But it was a phenomenal time to be there. I mentioned the sights and the sounds. Touch is a very sensitive word, because there are those who have been known as the untouchables, the Dalit community, and a good friend of mine is a member of that community now living in England, speaking very clearly and passionately about the situation in history and in contemporary culture of Dalit people. India is also a land of the extreme contrasts that we read in the Bible. We heard in our gospel the story of the rich man and the beggar at his gate. One of the shocks which many people find on visiting India is the extraordinary poverty that can be seen. When you leave the confines of a place like the High Commission, you enter a different reality. If you go and have a fine dining experience at, say, the Sheraton Hotel, you meet a flunked, liveried servant outside wearing clothes which look as if it's straight from the days of the Raj, and you enter into a rarefied atmosphere, and you leave again into the reality that is India today. The idea of the rich man in his castle and the poor man at his gate is too much of a reality for comfort in some of the contexts you may find there. That verse, of course, is from the hymn which vicars love to sing at weddings, funerals, and baptisms all the time, All Things Bright and Beautiful, by Mrs. Alexander, who wrote that hymn whilst living a very privileged life in Ireland at the time of the potato famine, when people were in desperate starvation circumstances. And she saw fit to talk about the rich man and in his castle, the poor man at the gate. God made them high and lowly and ordered their estate. Even Percy Dearmer in 1906 felt that that was inappropriate to include in the English hymnal, and many places would never even dream of singing that verse of that hymn. It seems to go against the principle of social mobility which, as I'm speaking as a coal miner's son, has been very important to me as I have moved up a little bit, just a little bit, through society's class structure. But how do we respond to the inequality that we see not only in India, but on our own streets when we meet the poor outside the hotels and the swanky places we come across every day in this city of London? The answer is a challenge to all of us. But one insight which I had was when an Albanian woman arrived in India. We know her as Mother Teresa. And what she sought to do was not change the political situation or the balance of rich and poor, but actually to give dignity to all people, to the poorest, to the lowliest, the most disenfranchised, the most on the edge of society, to regard them as equals under God, and to provide them with the care, the dignity, and the hope which all people have a right to expect from their fellow Christians, from their fellow human beings in this world. We may not be able to change society and the inequalities we see on a regular basis. We're not able to solve the difficult problems faced by economic challenges. But we all are able to do that one thing, which is to afford the dignity to every human being we encounter. Our sister, our brother under God, created alongside us. And when we give them that dignity, we find that relationship with God, which is our gift, a gift of community with all people, those we know and love, those whom we find difficult even to know, let alone to love. But God continues to give us these challenges in our lives, to see and respond, to act and to behave in a way which unites us with all the people we encounter, the lovely and the unlovely. And may God give us the grace, the vision, the wisdom, and the strength to be sister or brother to all those whom we meet, be it high or low estate, for all, in God's eyes, are children, beloved and worthy of that dignity which he gives to all humanity. In the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.